The Song of the Silver Shadow. Deep in the crags of the Whispering Peaks, a great storm had passed, leaving behind a silence as heavy as snow. Beneath a jagged overhang, a silver wolf pup was born into a world she did not yet understand. Her mother, weary and wounded from a desperate hunt, nudged the tiny bundle toward the warmth of a nearby meadow before the long sleep took her. There, a gentle mountain goat named Alara found the shivering creature and, moved by a mother's instinct, tucked the pup beneath her woolly flank. Lyra grew up among the clatter of hooves and the scent of wild thyme. She loved her family, but she felt like a puzzle piece forced into the wrong box. While the other kids skipped nimbly across the narrowest ridges, Lyra felt heavy and clumsy. Her paws were too wide, her tail too bushy, and her teeth far too sharp for the tough mountain grass that Alara encouraged her to eat. "Why can't I climb like the others, Mother?" Lyra asked one afternoon, her voice a low rasp compared to the melodic bleats of the herd. She had spent the morning slipping on the shale, her soft pads failing to find purchase where the goat's hooves gripped like iron. Alara nudged her side affectionately, though her eyes held a flicker of worry. "Strength comes in many forms, my little one," Alara whispered. "You must simply find your own rhythm." At night, when the moon hung like a silver coin in the sky, Lyra felt a strange tingle in her throat. The other goats slept soundly, their breathing rhythmic and calm. Lyra would tilt her head back, feeling a song building deep in her chest, a song of wind and shadows. But when she opened her mouth, all that came out was a strained, awkward sound that sent the birds fluttering from the trees in fright. She felt more alone than ever. One autumn evening, a shadow fell over the herd that was darker than the coming night. From the edge of the pine forest emerged a massive male wolf named Fenris. His fur was the color of thunderclouds, and his eyes burned like twin embers. The goats let out a collective cry of terror and scrambled for the high cliffs, leaving Lyra frozen in the middle of the clearing, her heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. "Run, Lyra." "To the heights!" Alara screamed, her voice disappearing into the wind as she leapt toward safety. Lyra tried to follow, but her legs felt like lead. She didn't have the hooves to scale the sheer face of the bluff. She turned and ran toward the mountain stream, the only path left open. Behind her, she could hear the heavy, rhythmic thud of Fenris's paws gaining ground. Lyra reached a dead end where the stream pooled into a deep, still mirror against a wall of black rock. She turned, baring her teeth in a desperate goat-like defense, her legs trembling. Fenris skidded to a halt, but he didn't spring. He stood tall, his head tilted in curious silence. He didn't look at her with hunger, but with a piercing recognition that made Lyra's fur bristle. "Why do you cower like a prey beast?" Fenris spoke, his voice a deep rumble that vibrated in Lyra's very bones. "You have the heart of the forest and the teeth of the mountain." Lyra shook her head, tears blurring her vision. "I am weak," she whimpered. "I cannot climb. I cannot graze. I am a failure of a goat." Fenris took a step closer and gestured with his snout toward the dark water at her feet. "Look," he commanded, "see what the mountain sees." Lyra leaned over the edge. For the first time in her life, she didn't look at her reflection through the eyes of a goat. She saw the powerful curve of her jaw, the gold fire in her pupils, and the lean, corded muscle of her shoulders. She wasn't a clumsy goat. She was a masterpiece of the wild. The weakness she had felt was simply the power of a predator she had been trying to suppress. Lyra lifted her head and let out a sound that had been waiting her whole life to be set free. It was a howl that shook the pine needles from the trees and echoed off the highest peaks. Fenris joined her, their voices weaving a tapestry of silver and shadow. Lyra realized she didn't need to climb like a goat to reach the top of the world. She was born to run through its heart. She was a wolf, and the mountain was finally her home.